and when it comes to media, tech, and pop culture, and should be yours also, Dr. Tachi. So she is in the house. How
Hello,
are
sir.
you? And love the
Oh,
chapeau. Love the chapeau.
thank you. Thank you. I know you enjoy a good hat, so
Yes.
I put
I
I put it on
love
for
a
you.
good hat. Have a good hat. How you been?
Quite well, actually. All is well in this end of you know, as well
Weather.
as can be south of the border.
Weather. How's
Oh,
the
weather
weather?
is great. The weather is
Good.
great. It is spring break
Oh,
here, well, for around the country. And what happens is every year they come to Florida generally for spring break. So our beaches are full of spring breakers, but yeah, it's they've had to put some boundaries in place because at one point back, I don't know if you remember, I remember when I was little, like in the 80s, Fort Lauderdale was the place to come for spring break. In fact, they used to show it on TV. We were like, wow. And then it moved to Miami. But then Miami started cracking down because people were acting orangutan-ish. And so they've now moved back north, but I think everybody's learned their lesson.
Dr. Tachi, one day there needs to be a Dr. Tachi dictionary. Because all the
With
different
Tachiisms.
Tachiisms. And look, also we got Food Plane says Dr. Tachi's in the house. Says
I
Dr.
am
Tachi's
hello.
in the house. And
Hey,
we've
Food
got
Plane.
Nurse K is in the house saying good morning. Oh, good
Hey,
morning, C Nurse K.
good
Food Plane says
morning.
Dr. Tachi making the usual fashion statement. Also, Tanya Moore says good morning, Dr. Tachi.
Good
And
morning.
also Food Plane
Hey.
says, I heard the kids are behaving a little bad this year.
They behave badly every year. But according to what I've heard on the news, the arrests are down, and
Oh,
generally it's arrests for stupid things like uh, disorderly conduct and that type of thing. So yeah, arrests are down apparently.
okay.
So
Okay. Food Plane says he said his place was Daytona Beach in the 90s.
oh wow, wow,
Okay.
Daytona.
Daytona. And we also have another person saying, hello, Sumalema Lopez. Okay, well, thank you for dropping by. And this, so we have you on this one. You want to talk about media literacy reset, how to understand the media you consume. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, what do you think about the pending demise of Sora?
Oh, get on
I
board,
didn't want to
little
get you
children.
energized too early.
On board. Sh- uh, this is very interesting because I saw it, verified that this was happening, and had to share it out. And in fact, I mean, that's just the topic I gave you is just like a baseline for discussion. We could talk about a lot of different things.
Yes.
Don't feel that we have to be beholden to that.
Yes.
So I'm kind of not surprised. And let me tell you why. Because I knew an IPO was coming. As you know, they're getting ready for their initial public offering. And so because of that, you always know there are going to be some changes. AI is as useful as it is, and I adore AI. I have to say this, but as useful as it is, there is a lot of pushback by the public, or I shouldn't say a lot,
Yeah.
but there is some pushback by the public. And there's even pushback by people who may use things like ChatGPT, but then in the same breath, we got to get rid of AI video. It's all the same thing, my friend. So there's also a lot of confusion when it comes to this. So I'm not surprised that they wanted a fresh start and they said, you know what, we're dismantling Sora. I also don't know what the monthly active users were for something
Oh,
like
okay.
Sora.
I can interject on that.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A gentleman who I follow periodically, who you know of, name is Scott Galloway.
Yes.
So he does a weekly show with Kara Switzer called they do it twice a week called Pivot. And at the end of each one of these shows, they talk about wins and predictions, wins,
Mm.
fails, and predictions. And I don't know if it was this week's show, one of the shows this week, it was actually last week. One of his predictions was he said Sora's days are numbered because he said the monthly downloads are going down, 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 down.
And this is thank you for that. And this is what I suspected, because what happens is when you have a new tool, everybody is all about it at first. And I remember back to the days when Sora, that this does not mean that they were the first AI video platform. What it does mean, it was the first AI video platform to gain wide attention. And so remember, they dropped that video with that woman walking down the street. Tyler Perry said, "I'm not building any more studios because of something like this." So I think a lot of people were premature, because AI is not there yet where it can do a video to perfection or a film to perfection. I mean, human film is not perfect. So this was not, and humans program all of this stuff. So I wasn't surprised when I saw they were doing this, but remember all the buzz and things around it, but that's exactly what it was, an initial buzz. It's not at the point yet where it can do the heavy lifting of really creating the types of videos that, I mean, it's doing a great job, but there's always something more that can be done. And so for a fresh start, for that initial public offering, I'm not surprised that they took it off the table. So go on, and I have something else to
No,
add.
keep on going. No.
So now you've got this, but do you remember they had that deal with Disney?
Yes.
Disney
Yes.
put a few billion into development and things to work with Sora, because remember, they were allowing Sora or people to create Disney characters or use Disney characters, certain Disney characters inside of Sora, which was huge, which told us that Disney was placing some bets on the salience of AI. So now they do this, and it's like, well, they just so we don't know what's going to happen now. Do they give the money back? What happens with this?
I heard that the money is going back. That's what I heard.
Okay, so I haven't been able to look and verify what's happening with that yet, because this all just happened. But I do know that Disney released a statement saying that they basically respect the decision that they made. So I also have a feeling that behind the scenes, they had a conversation with Disney as well. So this isn't something that was like a shock. Other people may have been like, but what I've noticed underneath on social media, underneath the articles talking about it, the people talking about it, you see, good. I'm glad. Now, that doesn't mean that these people speak for everyone, but it is important to look and see what people are saying. That's audience feedback, right? So this lets you know that this time, because they are going to create something else. Please don't think this is the end of video for a video creation, AI video creation for OpenAI. They're going to come up with something else. It's almost good. Now we can go back to the drawing board, because use was down. But here's the thing too. People don't really understand what you can do as much with AI video if you're not in a space like a video creation space, etc. It's very clear what you can do with language learning models in terms of helping with posts and papers and things like that, and written work, also in terms of research and looking up things. But the average person may not understand what they can do with AI generated video. So once it becomes less of a cool toy, and I've already made as many fake ring videos as I'm going to make. Now what do I do with it? So I think this is why the use was down month over month.
Excellent. I know I wanted to get in that first, because I know with things coming on, we may miss out, but I wanted to get your take on that story. And Food Plane, I know I see your questions. But I know
I'll take questions.
I know there's stuff you wanted to share, so I want to make sure you get that out there first.
Okay, no worries. So
because you've invested time to prepare, so I don't want that to go to waste, right?
Did I, Dr. Vibe? Did I?
I don't know. Okay, maybe you did, but you don't need to, right? You don't need to. But I just wanted to make sure if you prepared stuff ahead of time, I wanted to make sure you had a chance to put it out there. So you tell me how you want this to roll, because there's a lot of different ways we can roll with this. We like Food Plane has some questions. I know you have stuff.
Eh,
So you tell
Yeah.
me how you want to roll.
So let's take one question from Food Plane and then I'll roll into a little bit if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this builds on what we just talked about with Sora. He's asking if you are okay with an early question. Of course, Food Plane. Before AI, what content creator tool were you most fascinated with? Good question.
Yes, that is an excellent query. I've always liked editing.
Yeah.
So I have always liked editing. Now, do I want to sit there and do that for a living for somebody else? Like there are people that are just editors? No, that's not what I want to do. But one thing I do know is I can edit the heck out of a piece of content. So I've always I started with Final Cut.
Okay.
So I've always, when I started doing nonlinear editing, so let me explain. You all probably may know this, but linear editing is analog. So that's things like editing reel to reel from one tape to another. That's one film reel to another. That's also tape to tape editing, 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch or half inch to half inch. That's actually how I started editing it. That wasn't that long ago, which is amazing. So that's why when I was in undergrad, that's how I started learning. But at the same time, there was computer editing. So I took some computer animation classes and there was computer editing for your animations, which I was fascinated with. I'm kind of surprised I didn't continue on the animation trajectory because I would have loved that, but I didn't. I kept doing what I was doing with live action. So I started that way. But then once I got to grad school. When you go to grad school, you become more theoretical, usually less practical, unless you're going for a practical type of degree like an MFA in film, which I was not. But I decided I missed the whole production world. So after I finished my PhD, 2 weeks after I graduated, I moved to New York and I went to New York Film Academy. So that's where I started learning nonlinear editing nonlinear editing, which is with computers. So that was my first introduction to Final Cut. And I was like, wow, really? Not that it's easy, but it can be seamless. So I started with Final Cut, and that was one of my favorite tools for a while until Final Cut is very software dependent.
Yes.
So if they upgrade, you too must upgrade. And which is fine, but my computer was older, and after a while, it did not support that. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep going through this. Adobe, here I come. So from then on, I've been an Adobe Premiere girl. But the infrastructure, or the layout, I should say, was basically the same. So I didn't have to read any directions to go from Final Cut to Adobe. I also don't like to read directions unless I have to. So I sat there and figured it out. I'm like, okay, these keystrokes are the same. It's the same. I'm fine. So long-winded answer to your question, Adobe Premiere / Final Cut, those editing tools.
There we go. Also, another person saying hello. Susan Sawyer says, good morning,
Sawyer!
Dr. Tachi. So she is in the house. Okay, so we got one question out of the way. Keep on putting in your questions in the comment section. And also, what I'm gonna put up a poll. So just give a second here. I'm gonna do this as Dr. Tachi starts this morning.
Okay.
We're talking about media consumption. Okay, why is this
Talking about lots of stuff.
It's not behaving. Okay, let me see. Okay, why is this not starting? It's not working. All right. I thought it was working. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi. I'm going to see what's going on because this software isn't working today. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay, so you know what I wanted to talk about partially today? There's a lot of things we're going to talk about, and please feel free to put in questions in the chat, any comments you have in the chat. I love all that type of stuff. I wanted to look at media literacy today. partially, and there and some other stuff. But let's start with media literacy because especially now, and it's interesting and fitting that we talked about AI video because AI video has made it impossible for some people to really know what's truth and what's happening. Although, if you look and you're media literate, you're going to be able to pick out some of these things. But I think it's fitting and it's very interesting. We talk about this today because of the age we live in misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Oh, there we go. We've got
All
our.
right. So just so if I have Dr. Tachi's permission to interrupt, we have a
You
poll
do.
here. What type of media confuses you the most right now? Let me repeat that question. What type of media confuses you the most right now? So 1, news headlines, 2, social media posts, or 3, YouTuber streaming videos. So this is all about the literacy part. So we're just going to, vote in real time, either 1, 2, or 3. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Tachi. I figured out the poll. So there we go.
So this is interesting because all of this has to do with media literacy. Media literacy is actually the process of knowing and understanding the media that you consume and how it shapes our world and your worldview, right? That's in brief what that is. So, to be a media literate individual is to not only understand the way the media works, but to discern the way it works and be discerning and use discernment when it comes to what you consume. Too many of us don't. And sorry, I live in the tropics. There's always something flying around.
Go ahead.
So you really need to be discerning because you can be easily fooled, which is very dangerous in times in which we live now. It's been dangerous in other countries for a while not to be media literate because what happens is when you don't form media literacy, you'll fall for anything. And therefore, media can be state sponsored or state owned, and you will believe it because, and it's so sad when you see people, when you ask them certain things, and the lack of media knowledge and understanding the way the media works. And again, media literacy goes beyond just knowing what's happening in the news, knowing what is happening. It's understanding the way all of this works. So the news can report things 3 different ways, right? But if you're not media literate, you're not going to be able to discern between them. And it doesn't mean that they're all lies, right? It just means that they are presenting them in different ways. Because let's be clear and let's be honest. One of the choices you had is what are you confused by? Headlines? It's easy to be confused by headlines because remember, the old mantra of media used to be if it bleeds, it leads. So they will take the most fantastical, impossible headline and put it out there, and you sit there and you're like, oh, okay. But and I'm trying to think of that example. I can't remember, but there was an example of an article that was posted on Facebook, and I saw, but the way that they put it for the headline was disingenuous because it made it seem something other than it was. But they're trying to grab your attention, whether it's rage bait, whether it's curiosity. They're trying to grab your attention. So it's very easy to be confused by headlines. So here's the thing. Don't just go by the headline. If you see something, read a little bit into it. Usually the first paragraph of, if it's an article, you'll get kind of a recap of what things are. So at least go into the first 2 paragraphs to see, and don't just go by the headline. Were you going to ask something? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. You're on a roll as per usual. I just wanted to tell people, just encourage. There's a poll that we're having. Actually, I just keep it up. So what type of media confuses you? Now, what type of media you watch? What type of media confuses you the most right now? 1, news headlines, 2, social media posts, 3, YouTube streaming videos. I'm just going to leave it up for a bit, but there's lots of people chiming in, so would love you to start voting, family. Go ahead. And also the choices are put in the comments section on most of the platforms we're broadcasting live right now. So continue.
Yes, absolutely. So with the media literacy and that type, the news headlines, they're often the most outrageous headlines that will get you to read. As outrageous as I can be without really being off topic, I'll put that so that you will zoom in. This
Hmm.
happens though. Think about it when you ask a an AI generator for give me an example of some viral headlines I could use for this post, right? And we all do it because we want to grab attention. But do you just pick one because it sounds good? Or do you actually say that really has nothing to do with what this is? Let me pick one that still has something to do with what I'm talking about. Because here's the thing, if I get to your post and I see the headline and what you're talking about in your video or what you're talking about in the written post has or audio has nothing to do with what your headline is, I'm going to be a bit annoyed. Okay. So audiences, it's easy to be confused, but I think audiences, some are a little more savvy than we like to give them credit for. Many are not, but some are. And what you want to do is respect that audience enough to say they probably have a little bit of savvy. Let's not love the poorly educated, like somebody said. I don't know who, but you didn't hear that from me.
OMG. That's not the poorly educated. No, I think that's really good. That's really good to kick off with. I'm gonna come in with a question here from
Let's do it.
yes, with the man, Mr. Food Plane. So he asks, is media literacy becoming more important than formal education in today's digital world?
Good question. And I think I would say yes to an extent. And it depends on what type of formal education, right? If we're talking
Yeah,
elementary,
yeah,
K through
yeah.
12, you need K through 12. Come on, at the very least. But if we're talking about higher ed, then this is interesting because with higher ed, there are certain things. This is why you have certain fields that have such deplorable communication skills, because it's not something that is really stressed in their programs of study. It's not something that is often valued in their programs of study. They see the social sciences, quote unquote, for example, as soft science, and the humanities as soft sciences and nice to haves, but not required. Okay, this is why you have doctors that talk anyway to patients and don't know what the hell to say because they don't have those types of skills. This is why it is required. It should be required, right? One thing that we had at one of my other universities that was a requirement for many, not every single one, but for many, public communication or public speaking was something that was required, obviously, because you're going to get out in public and need to communicate with people. You may be doing a speech, you may be doing, small group communication, whatever the case is. So it was required, but there were not, unless you were a communication major, you did not get the fine points of interpersonal communication, international communication, things like that. Those were not required. So those were things that you only took as an elective if you had time. Meanwhile, you're sitting busy being trained and trained and trained and trained, but you're not being educated. So that's to say, with higher ed, you often don't get those skills. So we can't rely on the system to do that. Even in K through 12, you're not getting good communication skills. This is a far and few between rather than this is required. And in fact, it needs to be required, just like mathematics skills are required, just like language skills are required. Communication, they think language is the only part of communication that's important, and not at all. Not at all. So oh, sorry, go ahead.
We'll
Were
go.
you
Keep
gonna
on going. Keep on
okay.
going. No, it's, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Yes, no, I love the call and response. Church.
Well, actually, I do have a conversation piece.
Yeah. Yeah, go
Um,
ahead.
what do you mean by the phrase media literacy reset?
The fact that at one point we were a bit discerning out of with what we listened to in a sense, because we almost really didn't have a choice. The less news outlets you have and the less media information you have, the less choices you have of what is fact, what is true. You have that. But we still, because of that, I think really used a discerning ear with what we listened to, discerning eye with what we watched. So that reset is going back to being more discerning, having more discernment.
Okay.
That's what I mean by the reset.
So two more conversation. Well, J.R. Houston Jack is in the house.
Hey,
Good
G.
morning, Dr. Tachi and Dr. Vibe. Good to have you here. Another conversation piece. I don't know if you covered it, but just if you have, we can go over it again. If you had to explain media literacy in one or two sentences to an adult who's never heard the term, how would you define it?
So discernment is definitely part of that. So media literacy is just being aware of the way media work, what's in media, and the way that media work. Having a working knowledge of that at the basic point. So, for example, not only knowing, as I said, what's in the news, what's happening in the news, but understanding that, okay, this news outlet has a more conservative slant. So the things that they're going to report are going to be from this end versus this news outlet that has a more quote unquote liberal or social slant. And they're going to report things from this certain way. Also, well, they report things in this more conservative vein because such and such owns them and such is friends with such and such. That's the whole thing of media literacy. It is a literacy rabbit hole, which is a good to follow the breadcrumbs down the rabbit hole. I'm mixing two fairy tales, but who cares? Alice in Wonderland and Hansel and Gretel. But it doesn't matter. You're following the breadcrumbs down the rabbit hole to get to the truth. Because one of my favorite scenes in Rush Hour. This is Rush Hour 2, when they were like, follow the money, or they actually said, follow the rich white guy. Follow the money. Follow what that's part of media literacy as well.
All right. Another conversation piece. Well, you know what? There's some questions and of course some comments here. Charles James says, training is telling you what to think. Learning is teaching you how to think.
Amen.
C Nurse K says, I think all forms of media can be confusing and contradictory at times. The algorithm shapes what we see and definitely skews things. Lots of, quote, clickbait, unquote. Food Plane says, hello, saying hello to J.R. Houston Jack. Also, J.R. Houston Jack says, understanding the slant makes all the difference. I also think the common sense needs to show up too. And she also says, and yes, follow the money. Then I also want to add on conversation piece wise, why, and you may have talked about this, but we can do it again. Why is understanding the media we consume more urgent now than say 10 years ago?
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. That old adage, if you don't stand on not just what you believe, but what you've researched in order to be able to believe it, you will fall for anything. Because the people who just look and listen to the people who spew facts, alternative facts about things that are happening, news stories that are happening in the world. Often, if you go to them up to them on the street, they just regurgitate what they heard somewhere, right? Rather than actually doing the research for themselves. And unfortunately, that is the average person. The average person is not going to do what I recommend. Check at least 3 sources and look for, if you can do more, look for agreement among them. If you see agreement, chances are there's some modicum of truth to that story.
Got it.
It's important now because you can really easily be fooled. And unfortunately, being fooled in this case, in this country, has led to where we are now.
There you
It
go.
follows that there were lots of fools who got fooled, but that's a different case.
Okay. Again, want to encourage people, if you're watching live, whatever platform you're watching, we are running a poll. Which type of media confuses you the most right now? 1, news headlines. 2, social media posts. 3, YouTube streaming videos. Let's see, we got more. J.R. Houston Jack says, I wouldn't say I'm confused, but I'm troubled by social media posts. So number 2, well, press number 2, please. Put 2 in the comments and press enter so we can register your vote. Please and thank you. All right. More you want to share, Dr. Tatch, or I can continue. I can do some more conversation pieces.
Well, there were 2 things. So Seniors K mentioned algorithm, and so did Food Plane. Food Plane had something, a question about algorithm, and I
Okay,
wanted to address that since it came up twice.
okay, so why don't J.R. Houston Jack also says, as a former debate team member, I'm big on I probably says I'm big on everything, researching everything. And also she voted good. And Ray McMillan's in the house. Number 2, much information. Well, click on number 2 and just put 2 and enter. There, Fitness IQ Cam. Thank you. You did it right. Fantastic. All right. So we want to get a question. So you wanted to get about algorithms. So Food Plane says, do algorithms shape culture more than creators do at this point? Really good question.
Yes, and that's why I wanted to do it, since the word algorithm came up twice. If you let it. Remember, the algorithm is responsible for exposing your current audience to what you do, but it's more so responsible for exposing, or should be responsible for exposing, your content to people you don't know and who don't follow you. And it depends on how active you are, how much people interact with your things. So the algorithm, if they see, oh, you like this type of thing, you might also like this person or this person. That's what it determines. But it still follows that you still have to do work. Many people get into the content creation game and think they don't have to do anything but create content and lay back on Tahiti Beach, if that's a beach. Waikiki Beach, there we go. So lay back and do nothing. Soak in the sun and drink mocktails on the beach. No, you still have to do something. You bloody have to do something. You still need to let your audience know. And since G is in the house, Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack is superb when it comes to letting people know what she's doing on social. So not only does she schedule and put out all this content, I get a text from her on Fridays that says, hey, if you're available, we're going live. That is so inspiring to me, because I'm like, whatever, if you catch me, you catch me. And I go live all the time, but I love that. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to start letting people know when I'm going live or when something is up. So that type of thing is great. So she takes the power of, quote, algorithm into her own hands by letting her community know, I've got something going on my platform worth checking out. Come check us out, right? You could go further by saying, hey, if you can't join us live, you are welcome to see the replay. And then you support what you did either in a live or a longer piece of video by chopping them up, as we all do, into short form content and posting that. On YouTube, it allows you to link your shorts to the longer form video, which is great, because then people can discover the entire conversation. So the answer to that question is, to an extent, the algorithm does control what we see and that type of thing. But if you let it, you still have to be in charge of gathering your audience and driving them to your content. You can't rely on an algorithm for that. So hopefully that answered the question.
And just to add on to that, if you really want to get your game up, have a platform that isn't dependent on algorithms, like have your own mailing list or have your own community. Just a thought.
Own your platform. What can be that one that you just let it own your platform? I'm
Yeah,
not saying don't use
yeah,
these
because
other
even
ones.
this space, we're broadcasting on different platforms. We're on rented space.
Right. And they could decide at any time to evict
Dang,
you. Put
100%.
all of your furniture on the street and you'll be sitting on your couch looking like an idiot. Own something.
And I just want to refer, I had a conversation about a week and a half ago with a gentleman named Philip Scott, who is the owner of the African Diaspora News Channel. He has about 6 different shows on various platforms, and he averages about 19 million viewers a month on his various platforms. You know what his message? He's created his own app to drive people to the app, because
It
he has had
is,
situations in the past where some of his channels have been taken off.
and that's what happens for lots of us that have, Indie Soup is its own platform. But we're also on rented space, right? YouTube and other places. We did at one point have an app, which we are going to restart. We had issues with the app, but we're going to restart that. So if you have an app, you have an email list, you have a website that has resources where you can load
Yeah.
things, be sure to do that. And actually, that is the future for those people that are serious about content creation. You ought to be serious about content ownership. So yeah, you own
Mm.
your content to an extent, but it's the same thing. I remember when I was teaching at Morgan, I was ahead of my time, okay? I had their final project in with telecommunications 401, I think was the class. Shout out to Morgan State University. Every semester, the end of their final project was media content creation project. I still have the file with the that I would give to them with all the directions. And that's where you would create a piece of content, and it could be for traditional media or new media. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we just lost you video wise. We can hear you. We don't.
Okay,
There we
I
go.
don't know
You're
what
back.
happened.
You,
It just
you
shut
see
off.
what you said? Get off the platform. See what happens.
Exactly. I don't care. I'm not scared of them.
All right.
But I gave them the media content creation project. They could create for traditional media like radio, television, film, or they could do new media, which would be like the internet. And apps weren't as big of a thing yet, but they were coming. So I said you could do something like that. And so I had them really dig into and delve into creating content. But this is what I noticed. I had a lot of people that Baltimore City, I love you. I had some students from the city of Baltimore. The guys, they a lot of them wanted to be rappers, in addition to whatever they were going to do, but they wanted to be rappers. So they were like, well, I said, okay, well, so what do you want to do with this? Well, I actually want to have my own label. I was like, that's great. But can I tell you something? The power is not in your label. The power is in the distribution,
Distribution.
because it doesn't matter
Mhm.
what label you have. I don't care what you have. If you don't have, at the time it was store shelves, if you don't have space because you can't put CDs out there, what good is that? So you have to have distribution. So let's liken that to this type of thing. It doesn't matter that you have your own record label on YouTube if you don't control the distribution, which in a way you do. But they could decide YouTube is, or Google or Alphabet, let's say, that is the final say in terms of your distribution and your reach, because there's also an algorithm, right, that can control that as well. You can control it very well if you have your own things. And so, for example, School is a platform where you can build community. Mighty Networks, you can build community. You can also, I don't know about in School, but in Mighty Networks, you can stream live
Yes, I
there.
think you can in School. I think Kirk. I
Okay.
don't. I actually have to check because that's the one that Kirk Nugent uses. He uses School
Yeah.
there,
And I
and
like School.
I like, from what I've seen, I like School also. There's a lot of good things about it, and there's another one that I know another person uses that I know. that they can stream. They can stream from there. I don't know about school, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. I can't say school, but there's another one that another person I know. I'm part of their environment,
Okay.
and
It's not Mighty
they
Networks?
actually stream from it also. So
It's not Mighty Networks?
no, it's another one I can't remember off the top of my alleged
Mm.
shiny head. But let's go back to some comments
Yeah.
here. Food Plane says, as great as AI is, one thing it'll never be able to do, and that's compete with authenticity. I had a conference call earlier this morning, and everyone on that call said the same thing. There you go. Um, Food Plane says another great point on IP. Also, J.R. Houston Jack says, own your content and grow your C word. I don't use that. Well, community. I'll use it in this case. She also says,
Yes.
she goes, J.R. Houston Jack says, I'm almost on the beach. Okay, good for you, J.R. Houston Jack.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Okay. And then Food Plane says, when is Ray coming back on the show? When Ray is ready to come back. Ray always has an open door to come on this show. So there you go. There you go. I'm going to shut down this poll in about a minute or two, folks. I've got a few polls today. So again, minute or two, if you want to put your final votes in, what type of media content confuses? I thought that was a really good question. Confuses you the most right now? Not which one you watch the most, which one confuses you the most? And as we transition, so Dr. Tachi, in regards to media literacy, what are some simple questions adults can ask themselves when they see a headline or video before they react or share?
Okay. Yes. We are so quick to share, and that's because being first is rewarded in our society. It is better to be right than first. Wait a minute before you share things. I always do that, especially if I'm sharing news, for example, if a celebrity has passed away. I said, let me wait and make sure that it's reported in more than one outlet and in a few credible outlets before I actually share that. Because, you're in most cases, you're not wanting to do any harm, but still wait. So wait, take a breath. That's number one. Number two, look for agreement. And I said this already. If you are about to share something, have you checked other sources to ensure that this, in fact, is the case before I share it? Again, if you see, look to at least 3 sources, more if you can. If you see agreement amongst several sources, chances are there's some truth to what you're about to share. Then you can go ahead and share it. I would say read through, don't just look at headlines. Read through or at least skim through to get the gist of what it is so you understand what it is you're sharing. I see so many people that just hit share or repost and they don't even read the article. They don't even look at the video. And sometimes I don't look at comments because often they can be completely useless, but sometimes they're useful. You'll always see there's always one who will watch a video, right? That's there, or see, it's like, well, you didn't talk about such and such. Oh, perfect example. One of the accounts that I'm really digging, because I am from New York State. I am a New Yorker. Mayor Zohran Mamdani, Zohran, I think is the way you pronounce it, Mamdani. His social media team is off the charts. They have been so connected to social media that you see people in the comments are saying, I live in Barbados, but that's my mayor. I live in Kentucky, but that's my mayor.
Wow. Okay.
So he has become the people's mayor, right? Because of not just what he's doing, definitely what he's doing. And the average New Yorker will see what he's doing, even though there are always going to be those who disagree with what anybody does. Fine. There are more people, I think, on the side that agree with the way he's doing things. And right now, at least, he's initially shown to be a person of his word and is trying to fix some of the things that have been problems in New York for a while. Well, there are always people who are not happy when you're trying to fix problems, always, because it means less money for them. That's a different story. But his social media team is amazing. He posted a recent a few days ago. It was, I can't remember the name of the holiday, but a celebration. And they celebrated in Iran and some other
Yeah,
countries
yeah, yeah,
in,
yeah.
yeah, you saw that. So some other neighboring countries and also in some Asian country, Western Asia. The Middle East is Asia, it's West Asia. Some other Asian countries as well. But the amount of people that did not watch the entire thing to know that they mentioned it's also celebrated in this country, this country, this country. So many people just had to be right. And they said, well, it's not only celebrated in Iran, it's also celebrated in such and such. My friend Idiot, he said that. They said that. But because you were so intent on flapping your mouth and not paying attention to the facts, you didn't even watch the whole thing. So, in terms of literacy and things that you can do, watch the entire thing before you forward it as well, because there could be a part of it that you don't agree with. And now you have disseminated something that does not agree with what you think. Excuse me. So, yes, there's that as well. So reading through what you forward, waiting before you forward something, making sure that there is agreement on sources on what it is you intend to forward or share, and then making sure you yourself read or listen to or watch what it is you are going to share.
Okay.
Also, here's the other thing. One
Yeah.
other thing.
Yeah.
If you can, add some useful commentary to it. Media builds on media, right? So each thing builds on the other. You add to the body of knowledge out there when you add useful, informed commentary, or you pose a excuse me, useful, informed question. Do that if you can. Whenever I forward something or share something, I always ask a question. I always pose some fact about it because I want to add to the conversation rather than just push it forward. And guess what? That's what content creators do. You add to the conversation.
All right. Ray says validating content through multiple sources is so important, as Dr. C says, before we start resharing. Also, the Girls Are Us says, agree, social media is so confusing in 2026. Fact finding is required.
Do you remember the Girls Are Us from Busker?
Okay. All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to shut down that poll. So what we're going to do is we're going to shut it down. And those are the results. So answer, which type of media confuses you the most right now? 67% said social media posts. 33% said news headlines. So we're going to start another poll in real time also. I think people will like this one. How often do you feel overwhelmed by media? 1, almost every day. 2, sometimes. 3, rarely. So people vote, 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 vote. Question here. Foodpin says, when is Mediascope coming back?
Believe me, it's coming back in. We should be back in April sometime. Listen, I'm working on getting us back. Believe me.
And I love this. I love people are voting. Love it. Already out of the box. How often do you feel overwhelmed by media? Right now, 32% say sometimes. 67% say rarely. Interesting.
May I speak to this?
Yeah, absolutely.
You are control of how overwhelmed you feel by media. It's you. You don't have to watch. Now watch, as I always say jokingly, but not jokingly, watch just enough to know when you need to run. Okay, watch it for that. But don't overwhelm yourself with media sources. It is so easy to scroll and, oh, there's this going on, this going on, this going on. And the more you watch that, remember, algorithm works by your interaction. The more you interact with a type of content, the more the algorithm shows you that type of content. So watch some puppies, do some other things. The algorithm then learns that these are the types of things you like. I have on my phone, there is Google because it's Android. So if I swipe right, it's left for you guys, but if I swipe right, like news headlines come up. I could actually pick the types of news I want to see. So for a while, too much of this world news stuff was coming up. I said, oh no, I need to get back to fashion. Let me start watching some of that because, again, I do like to be well informed. There is a reason that I am a media, tech, and pop culture journalist rather than a hard news journalist. I have done hard news, but it's a lot. It's too much. So monitor how much you are exposed to it so you're in control of that.
Like that. Let me just pull up here. Oh, so Frequency Event Promotion says, when is Dr. Tachi a social media content masterclass training starting? Okay.
Is it going? Do you want it to be in Toronto? Because not only are you doing that, you're trying to get me to Toronto.
Okay, hold on. JR Houston Jack says, I'm good walking away for a whole week to a full 30 days. Okay. Thaddeus Jones says, I control what I consume. I control what I consume. Also, JR Houston Jack says, I have to tech disconnect twice a year. Good. And the Girls R Us says, good idea, Jack. So she's supporting disconnecting on that. Okay. So, okay. This is good. We got the Dr. Tachi posse is in the house.
I love it. I love it. You know, this is what I love talking about.
I love it. That's even better.
Come on and vote.
Come on and vote.
Yes.
We continue on. Other things you want to share, because always can bring things up. Or, okay, actually, here's something I want.
Okay.
And I think you may have shared it. Can you walk us through how you personally read a piece of media, from the thumbnail or headline to the source to the comments?
That is really important. So yeah, I guess I should demonstrate that if I'm going to ask you to do that. So it starts with, I get lots of things sent to me from outlets that I have already vetted. So I'm subscribed to about 50 or so, probably more, but I'm going to be very conservative and say about 50 newsletters that I get to my inbox, like either on a daily or several times a week or weekly basis. So I've already vetted that these are the sources I want to be exposed to. So I'm getting news that way. In there's written, obviously, but there's also videos that come up on that, right? So number one is, let me be the gatekeeper of what I get in the first place. You are your own algorithm. You set your own algorithm with what you choose to expose yourself to. I think we give these inanimate algorithms too much credit because we actually set that, right? So you are your own algorithm. You can determine what it is that you see and what you expose yourself to, the media that you expose yourself to. So, okay, I do that. So when I open the thing, because there's a lot of them with a lot of stories, so I'm catching, if I'm preparing, for example, for Mediascope, I'm going through what I think the audience will respond to best based off of what I've done in the past and the response that they've given to those types of stories in the past. So talking about some obscure thing that's happening in Belarus may not be as interesting unless it's really something that's wacky and out there, or I can make a connection to them, right? That's just how humans are often wired. But we do have a curiosity of things outside of ourselves, but we want to make sure that they understand and can use that. So next layer is to, all right, what do I think is going to be interesting to the audience? And then if I'm just doing it for me, what interests me the most, right? Fine. So I get that. I open it in, say it's a newsletter that I get that is trusted. So, for example, if it's a tech story, TechCrunch and The Verge are two newsletters that I get. So I open up something from TechCrunch or The Verge. All right, well, let me do a search real quick to see where else this story is and who else is talking about it. Oh, just off the bat, if I type it into search, I see they're also talking about it on NBC News. I see they're talking about it on BBC, the Times of India. A bunch of different places are talking about this thing. So I have some semblance that this is something real because other people are also talking about it. I also see maybe, okay, it's on AP and it's on Reuters. Fine. Okay, I see that. So I'm looking for the agreement, especially if it's something I'm going to report to you all on Mediascope. I need to look for agreement. But even if it's just for me, because people like you will ask, hey, what do you think about such and such? I need to be informed, but I need to give you the right information. So I'll go through and make sure that there's some sort of agreement. So then what was the next thing you said? I'm trying to go through. What was the next piece of the
process?
Yeah, the process that
So,
you
can you walk us through the way you personally read a piece of media from the thumbnail or headline to the source to the comments?
Yes. Okay. So I've covered the sources. Hopefully that covered it. And then to the comments, I read the comments, but I don't take the comments as gold. Most of the time, they are not putting sources in there where you can verify that this is beyond opinion. But I think it is interesting to look because that forms the conversation. And often there's so much wrong nonsense in the comments from bots, but also from people who think they know, who now social media tells you, you too are important, Jennifer, and you can put your voice out there to be heard, which is true, but you don't always have to talk. So you have these people who always feel they have to talk, then they're loud and wrong. So if I sit there and go by what's in the comments, it's a losing cause. So go by your first primary research. It's actually secondary research. Primary research is where you yourself are conducting the fact finding. You are calling the outlets, not just the outlets, but you are calling the people involved and getting firsthand from them. That's primary research. Secondary research is what we do, where we're reading it in the news and in an article where we're seeing it. That's secondary research. Okay. So I go by the at least secondary research that I have done. If, for example, I conduct primary research. If I'm reporting from someplace, which I wish I could go to NAB this year, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to go, I always report live from NAB, and I publish several things on what's happening. It's primary because I'm talking to the people. I'm saying, hey, what's coming next? What is this? I'm doing video. That's what I do. So back to the comments, I take them, they're interesting for forming and shaping the trajectory of the conversation and what people are thinking, but there's not always a lot of truth in the comments where you can use that to shape and form opinion.
Covered from stem to stern. Comments. The Girls Are Us says, I try to curate my sources carefully. Also, C Nurse K says 100% the algorithm played a role in, quote, you know who, unquote, getting elected due to the crazy amounts of misinformation circulating. JR Houston Jack says, ditto Girls Are Us. I'm intentional with what I consume. And then also Girls Are Us says, I like seeing what folks are talking about on Threads. I am hardly on.
Yes. So Threads became this huge thing as an anti-Twitter X. So when they started, Muskrat started acting orangutan-ish, people were like, we're leaving, we're going someplace else. And Threads became initially that someplace else, and then Substack became, but Threads initially was that quick, here's where we're going to land. So it had, I mean, people are still using Threads, but it had that push because it was not Twitter. I don't care that it's X. I'm calling it Twitter.
All right. What else? Got another thing here. Oh, so Food Planet has a great question. Are we
Sure.
consuming content faster than we actually process it?
Probably so. I would say yes. I would say yes, because there's so much content out there. And often I think we have this FOMO. And that's because they're of virality, is that viralness? It's because of that people start talking about, oh, have you seen such and such? And it's like, you feel like, no, I haven't seen it. Let me go look it up. And so we're exposed to so much content, and there's so much of it that, yeah, you consume more than you can actually process. Because think about it, how much we remember a lot. I remember a lot. I like to say I have a very good memory. I can remember when I was going to Nigeria when I was 1. I remember the plane.
Wow.
So yeah, and chewing gum. Why you would give a 1-year-old gum? I don't know, but I was chewing green Trident gum.
Okay.
So I remember that. So I remember things very well. But do I remember every single piece of content that in this social media age I've come into contact with? Probably not. If you remind me, I'm like, oh yeah, I probably, you have to remind me to do that. But that means I'm also not processing everything, because you have to remind me about those types of things. And then guess what? It's a protective measure that you don't process everything, because you would go off your rock. That's not a saying, but I'm making it one.
Question for you. What's your hard stop time today? Do you have biz chicks at the top of the hour?
Well, I knew that because I also have an appointment later, so I knew that I wasn't going to be on Biz Chicks today, so I'm okay.
Okay, good. Because I know there's another topic you want to chat about today. You mentioned, so but this one's flowing. So if you want to keep on flowing with this, or I know there's another topic you may want to chat about, a few more things about this. When we talk about fake news and information, what misunderstandings do you see most often, and how can people correct them?
So say that again. When we talk about fake news and misunderstandings.
When we talk about fake news and
Mhm.
misinformation,
Misinformation.
what
Okay.
misunderstandings do you see most often, and how can people correct them?
Well, so can we qualify fake news? Are we talking about, when you're asking this, are you speaking about specific news outlets or just in general?
I would say in general.
Okay, but we can agree that there are specific news outlets that lend to the
Yes.
atmosphere of
Yes. Being
dis,
first
and
instead of being correct.
malinformation.
Yeah.
Correct. So how do you see? Okay, again, that was a long question. So how do you basically, how do you handle that?
Yes. What things? Okay, let me ask you. Can you tell, because you have that media literacy, when you're reading an article, that if it's real or not?
Yes.
Are there any red flags? Maybe not 100. I don't know about this one.
Yes. First of all, outlet is not usually, it's a safeguard, but it's not always a safeguard. You still have to be that other layer, right? So outlet is number one. If this information is detached from an outlet, and when I say outlet, I don't just mean major mainstream corporate media outlet. I'm also talking about independent media, right? Verified independent media. So if it's detached from that and is somebody just talking about these things, well, where are they getting their information from? How do they know? Can they be so sure about this? So red flags are things that just seem really incredible or counter to what is already known. So if they okay, let's take this example. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
cats.
Yeah. Yep. 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 There we go.
Who told you that?
Yeah.
Do you have evidence of this? Have you seen that? Yet so many people were willing to believe. And here's the thing, they're willing to believe it because innately they love what the person who said that stands for so much and dislike to a large extent the people that statement was against. So you're forming an opinion based off of your personal feelings on two separate ends of the spectrum. That's not news. That's not news. Where did you get that from? But yet there are so many people that are willing to believe that. So we say this all the time. Consider the source. Who's saying it? Is this somebody who is a scholar of, for example, world politics, a doctor, his, him, they, themselves? Is this somebody who really knows the field, meaning they've been in the field for a number of years, they've studied it, they've got things that are peer reviewed, etc. And by peer reviewed, I mean also publications in valid places as well. So consider the source. I think that is the biggest thing here. Who's saying it and why are they saying it? And maybe who's paying them to say it?
There you go, too. So Ray says the constant need to be in the know, the constant need to be in the know too so much is not even very important to our daily existence. We have to get into the habit of scrolling by and ignoring. J.R. Houston Jack says, well, at one point, stories from The Onion were off the chain, but now...
The Onion used to be satire. The sad state of affairs.
Okay, question from, and I don't want to make sure I don't want to ignore, Food Chain has, we got some time. I can ask some of those later. I won't forget you, Food Plane. So Mr. Knight says,
yes.
Hey, Dr. Tachi, sorry I couldn't make it today on a long drive. What is your approach with dealing with trolls?
Well, Gala King, I honestly,
let you go first. I have a policy too, but I want you to go first.
Yes, I honestly don't tend to get a whole lot of trolls. I haven't since the Periscope days. And I think that's two things. So back then, and if I get a few trolls now, the policy is to block them because I'm not going to sit there and have my audience abused. Once, it's registered that you're part of this, great. Now I have you in the number of this, and now you could get out. You've served your purpose. Thank you. Be gone. So that, but also, I think what I talk about is boring for them. It's interesting for all of us, but it's boring for them. You can't see when you're talking about politics, when you're talking about Cheeto Satan, when you're talking about all of these things, you can rile people up and rage bait, and that's what they feed off of. There's nothing to really go off of with this type of thing, right?
Do I have permission to add on to that?
Please do.
Well, Dr. Tachi, you were with Lala last Saturday.
Yeah.
On our show. Did we have a lot of trolls or what?
Absolutely.
We had a pile of trolls. My policy with trolls is they don't bother me because, first of all, they're adding to my viewership, and then I can always block them.
Exactly.
Simple as that. Like, I'll be honest, I stay on for a little bit because I make sure they're on for the appropriate amount of time for them to count as a viewer on that show, and I block them. Now, again, with a live streaming platform that I use, you can put them in timeout, you can block them forever, you have a choice. So if someone does one thing, I may put them on time. If they continue, I just block them completely. And especially there is a way, if on YouTube, you can bring them back in, but the trolls don't bug me. I like it because what I'm saying is making them think, right?
Exactly.
So this is fine. So J.R. Houston Jack says, I had a troll who had to tell me he was trolling me because he didn't realize I was being trolled. That's all right. You know what? That's okay. Ryan Nightel says, also, how do you deal with family members that are misinformed?
I don't.
That's a good point.
I'm probably the wrong one to ask because I don't have this issue generally.
Yeah.
But I would say if this is something that is that you listen, you cannot. Bishop Vashti Murphy McKenzie, who was at one point the bishop to South Africa AME Church in South Africa. She also happens to be a Delta. She used to preach a lot when I was at Howard because her daughter also was going to Howard. She used to preach at our chapel. And her thing was, you can't take everyone to the mountaintop with you. There are going to be people that complain, why do we have to go up there? Can't we do this next week, etc.? Those are the people that you have to, and I'm saying this, those are the people you have to leave at the base of the mountain. You can love them from afar. You can deal with them in dealings. So once you've already tried, your responsibility is done. Because if you insist on remaining in your stupidity, who am I to deprive you of that joy? Do you, sir, madam? Do you? You can't continue. This is just my personal opinion and my personal take. You can't continue to tire yourself to ensure that they see the way. For them, their way is the way. But personal experience will teach them faster than you can ever tell them.
I'll just add to that, if I have permission to, that I learned a long time ago, the reason I'm bald, one of the reasons I'm bald is I was trying to make people do things that they weren't wanting to do. And everyone walks through the world differently. So simple as that. This might take care of one of the reasons why there's so much conflict in the world. One person wants the other person to do something that they don't want to do. If they don't want to do it, they ain't gonna do it. They got to take the first step.
Exactly.
So, as Dr. George Fraser say, you love them and you bless them and you leave them.
Correct.
That's where I will. That's where I don't try to convince people. No, if they're ready, they're ready. If they're not, they're not. That's just
in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Go with God.
There we go. Yes, Bishop Tachi. Let me ask you, as we continue on here, how does media literacy help Black communities and other marginalized groups push back against harmful narratives and stereotypes?
You have to be able to understand in order to fight the stereotypes, and how you have to be able to know how media works. So let me give you this example. I think I talked about this before. Somehow I brought up Delta twice, but here we go. So those of you know, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And there was a show that came on, I think it was 2012, and it was called Sorority Sisters. And I talked about this before. G has heard me talk about this before. So Sorority Sisters was featuring young women from the D9 or D4, right? In this case. So the D4 are the 4 historically Black sororities that make up part of the D9. And this show was produced by Mona Scott Young, who has produced a lot of reality television, which in my opinion doesn't show Black people in the best light, because I think she does Love and Hip Hop, if I'm not mistaken, and she's done a couple of other things, produced a couple of other things. So, okay, that's fine, but I'm not trying to knock your hustle, but what you won't do in the process is harm me. So, or us. So this show, Sorority Sisters, had 2 episodes. Count them, 2. After the first episode, because we were all going to watch, they portrayed these women in such a terrible light. We were like, oh, no, you won't. And it's one thing if you are, listen, there are members of the D9 that are on reality television now. Half of the cast of Married to Medicine are Deltas and AKAs. If you look at K. Michelle is a Delta, excuse me, and she just joined K. Michelle and Pinky Cole are both Deltas. They just joined the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Here's the difference. They did not come on as representatives of Delta Sigma Theta. There's a separation of church and state. With Sorority Sisters, they came on representing, I'm a member of such and such, and in between, it's like, I'm a member of such and such, and they did the call and the hand, the sign. So you are clearly a member of this, but they behaved in such deplorable ways. Excuse me. Sorry. One was like a stripper or something, or danced at a club. It was awful. They were fighting. After the first episode, the D4 presidents and all D4 members, we were like, no, not today. So the presidents all got together and tried to approach, I can't remember who was producing it. If it was, I don't think it was Warner Brothers. I don't remember who it was, but they were like, well, there was no response. They weren't taking it off the air. So what they did is they went after each of the sponsors, and I believe they were like, we will boycott you if you don't pull. All of the sponsors pulled from the show, and it was canceled after 2 episodes. Now, I don't know what the season order was, but the point, it was canceled. This is why it's important. We understood what the image and the stereotypes of Black women were. We understand who we really are, and we know as D4 who we are. What you won't do, so having that media literacy, knowing how they operate, knowing who to call, knowing what to do when they don't respond, we go after the sponsors. That is why it is important for us to be media literate. That to me is the best example of how you can display, what media is, how media works, and we know how to end what is not serving us.
Well said by Bishop Tachi. No, Dr. Tachi.
Don't give me that. I don't think God agrees.
No, please. All right. Ray says, my approach is simple. I'm not here to save the world or anyone for that matter, and that includes family. Here is a blast name from the past. Dr. V and Dr. Tachi, Dream Team, Fraser Ramsey.
Fraser!
Wow.
Hey, Fraser.
That is so good to see you, my man, from Scotland. That is
all the way from Scotland.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
And we got to meet in person.
Oh, good. Good to hear. And he's saying, how's it going? He says, it's doing fine. No, he's watching on your Facebook
on Facebook channel. Okay. Hey, welcome, Fraser.
Okay. So another question here from C Nurse K. What are your thoughts on platforms such as Ground News that claim they fact check and show political leanings of articles? I don't know if I'm understanding that clearly.
I'm not familiar with it with Ground News. Is that a new news outlet?
Not sure. Well, Fraser Ramsey coming after Fraser says yes. 8 years ago. That's when is that when you met Fraser 8 years ago?
Yeah, I met him 8 years ago. He came to Florida.
Nice.
And we were able to link up.
Excellent. And also he says 3 years cancer free. Amazing.
Amen.
Amazing. That is great news to hear. So, Dr. Tat, you want to continue going on the media literacy? I know there was another topic you may wanted to address today. So, you tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, C Nurse K, also, if let me know what Ground News is because okay, it's a website. There are a few like it, she said.
I've not, to be honest, I don't know everything I've heard, but I will take a look at it.
Yeah.
We can.
Well, hey, this is what we have to ask ourselves. They're fact checking. They claim they're fact checking, but fact checking where and how and what process do they use to determine whether something is valid? And do they present that? Because I've never looked at ground news and anything. Honestly, we are human, but if it really shows political leanings, that's a problem.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That's a problem.
So continue on, or do you want to hit your second conversation point today?
Whatever you like. I mean, we can.
Okay. All right. So let's let me just through audience. Okay. Yes, Fraser, we are both doing I'm doing fine. I don't speak for Dr. Tachi. I can tell people I'm doing fine. I'm not doing well. I'm doing fine, but good to see you, Fraser. This is the power of live streaming. This is the power of live streaming.
And may I add, the power of live streaming in the age of AI shows authenticity. That's something that AI can't do.
Good point. Good point. Authenticity, yes. Oh, here's another person. Jazzy. Good morning, beautiful people.
Hey, what's up, Jazzy? Good to see you.
I tell you, Dr. Tachi just brings the funk. She brings the funk.
Hopefully in a good way, because I have lots of perfume on today.
You mentioned about this. What should we be paying attention to in terms of who creates the media we consume? Ownership, funding, or something else?
Oh, all of it. Who owns it? Who funds it? And something else, right? All of that. Because honestly, in this day and age, there are foundations, for example, when you look at PBS, at one of the large foundations that gives money to many shows that are on public television, the MacArthur Foundation. There are lots of foundations that do that want to see good things happen, right? Never mind, millionaires need something to do with their money, but they do. There are some that want to see good things happen. And so you get funding for programming for those types of things. But then you get things like what happened with the recent sale of WBD to Paramount Worldwide. Is it Paramount Global? Paramount Global.
Yep.
So you get, yes, Paramount Global. So you get things like that happen. Who's funding this? Who's funding this and what do they believe? Well, it's very easy to see because down the pipeline, you see what shows start to get dinged, what hosts start to get reprimanded. You see that. So all of that is important.
100%. 100%. I'm going to stop this poll that we have up here. So again, it says, how often do you feel overwhelmed by the media? I'm going to give 15 seconds for anyone else who wants to vote, and we're going to stop that poll, and we'll give you final results. And I'm liking this polling feature, how you can do it in real time. So I'm going to stop it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Poll is done. So final results. How often do you feel overwhelmed by media? Sometimes 20%, rarely 80%, which is interesting because I'd be interested And maybe because we have some media savvy people here watching today, Dr. Tachi's posse especially, I wonder if we went out in the general public, I wonder if those results would be the same.
That's a good idea. Maybe we need to start doing some person on the street type of work.
You mean Don Lemon thing?
Oh yeah, but again, that's been done before Don Lemon. But
Yes,
yes,
yes, but I he's really taking advantage of that.
he does, and again, that lends to the authenticity.
Yes.
He's not just telling you things. You can see for yourself when he asks people on the street what they think about these things, because people's opinions are important as well.
Yes. Yes. Because a lot of people think they don't feel like they're being heard.
And not to take it there, but that's part of the reason we're in the predicament we are in now, because people think they're being heard. They're actually not, but people are feigning the perception that, oh, we hear you.
All right, gonna get some more conversation pieces today.
Yes. Yes.
What was your first big media literacy wake-up call? A moment when you realized you couldn't just take media at face value anymore?
I think I've always had healthy skepticism of media, but honestly, it's this time now when lots of these outlets have been acquired by people that have obvious political leanings, and it's beginning to filter into the content, so you can no longer trust it. I argue that this has always been the case to an extent, but in this country, not like now. So this was the foghorn that did it for me.
Okay. How can adults tell when their media intake is starting to hurt their mood, focus, or relationships?
If you can't put down your phone, if you feel anxious, I've never, and not that it did not exist, I am not saying it doesn't, but I've never heard so many people talk about anxiety
Yes.
as they do now. They keep
Yes.
like, yeah, I'm taking this for my anxiety. I had never heard of that before to this extent. Again, it could be that these things were undiagnosed before, or people were like, whatever, you're not anxious, and just ignored it and did not call a thing a thing.
Right.
But I think also there's some real truth to the fact that there's so much out there to make people anxious, and everyone does not deal with anxiety in the same way.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So what's one small boundary or habit, like time limits, no scroll zones, or unfollowing certain accounts, that you recommend to protect mental health when it comes to content viewing?
That's perfect. You could do something like free Fridays or free weekends. So social free Fridays, social free weekends, where you are not doing that type of thing. Or pick a day of the week, right? And say, I'm not doing anything social media wise for this amount of time.
Like
I'm
that.
good for, on the weekend, you probably won't see me posting or doing much of anything. I may look at something like, I'll watch YouTube all the time. That's my content.
Yeah.
But in terms of like posting and going in places like Instagram, etc., on the weekend, you probably will not find me doing that as much as I do during the week. Because here's the thing I always say, if you're always posting about life, are you living it? So put the phone down, put it down so that you can live life. That doesn't mean don't use it, yes, but limit your exposure to it so you can experience some other things.
I always like to say to people, how is that helping you? How is it serving you? Fraser Ramsey says, keep doing what you guys reaching for top. Catch you again. Good to see you, Fraser. Great to see you. And look who's in the house. Laura Key,
Hey.
Realty Goddess. You will check her on tomorrow, on Saturday. And I'm going to put out there, Dr. Touch, if you're available, we'd love you to come on again if you're available tomorrow.
Yeah, you asked me to come on because of a continuation of last week's conversation.
Yeah, okay, you're good.
So.
Okay, well, I'll share the stories with you because she has given us 2 stories, and she says they're deep stories. So there you go. And by the way, family, if you are available, make yourself available 5 p.m. on Saturdays. Like Dr. Tachi, Lala, and also Aisha, they got some fire going on, and there are a lot of people coming in to check them out. I'm not going to tell you why. Either come by tomorrow or watch replays. You'll find out why.
14,000 views worth of folks.
Man, she goes, man, oh man, do we have topics in capital letters?
Oh, wow. Do share.
And so if you're watching on the replay, I'm beginning to feel that the trolls are waiting for us now on Saturdays. Right?
They're here just like this. Ready
So
to
Ray
pounce.
says from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I am totally tech free on Sunday, except for Spotify for music. I started doing that around 2020. And Lala goes, LOL. You know, one of the things I live for is when Dr. Tachi says something hilarious, and Lala, if you haven't met Lala before, her facial expressions are priceless. Even for the other day, I said, show me a picture when you were a little baby. And even with her baby picture, her facial expressions were beaming. So she's had it since day one. That is so good. That is so good. Okay, let me see if there's some other things we can chat about here. Oh, there's a lot of good stuff here today. A lot of good stuff. Oh, how has your own media diet changed over the last 5 to 10 years? And what pushed that change?
In terms of what I consume?
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely more independent. Definitely less reliance on mainstream corporate media to consume content. And that obviously comes with the change of the way everything is going and the direction. So I can't just say it's just me. It's also the direction that media is going. But 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I still didn't have cable. I still was doing streaming stuff. But
Right.
I was definitely out of,
excuse me,
coming out. Yeah, no worries. Coming out of the mainstream media silo and coming toward these other things. Because again, if you think about it, it was 10 years ago, no, less than, it was 11 years ago that Periscope debuted and Meerkat debuted. And then we had shortly after that, what was the name of with the one that told us get out and they shut off the lights?
Blab.
Yeah. That was the age of consumer media created by consumers for the first time to a larger extent. Became the age of live, of where the average person could go live rather than having to have a lot. I was doing live stream production before when we were using Google Hangout.
Oh, wow. How many people in this live or replay use Google Hangout? You know you're an OG if you used Google Hangout. You know you're an OG.
Conversations using Google Hangout for the Burton Wire. We did quite a few, but it was so cumbersome because the tech wasn't there that yet. And you know, people aren't techie now. Imagine back then. So whoever was a guest, the day before, I met with them to make sure everything was working so that it required so much.
Google Hang. I haven't heard that mentioned. And I still have live streams from my Google Hangout days on my YouTube pages. So Ray says, I spent the first half of my life without tech. And my goal is to live the rest of it without an over dependency on it. Lala says, I have cut my media consumption so far down. I only go to resources I feel I can trust, none of them American.
That's another thing. Come away from only American sources. There is a particular point of view that as an outsider you have that you can just report. There's no incentive for you, for the most part, to report things that are not factual. So you're reporting the facts without your feelings, and here we go.
There you go. Yeah. Another comment here says, J.R. Houston just says, I love Google Hangout and Google Plus. It was okay.
It was interesting. I did like Google Plus, but here's the thing that Google did, and a lot. It's not just Google. They were so busy trying to be exclusive with things. If you remember, for Google Plus, you had to get invited by
Yes.
someone.
Yes.
So I was sitting there like, well, I'm not going to sit here and wait for you. So by the time people got the invites, you moved on to something else. There's no reason that Google Plus could not have survived as a social platform if they weren't so busy on being exclusive. You know who exclusive themselves out of things too? Clubhouse.
Yeah.
So Clubhouse, even though they opened it to more people, they waited too long and it was too late. The mystique about it was that it was by invite only. There were these critical conversations happening on there. There were a lot of celebrities and notables on there. So that was the mystique about it that people wanted in. But once you then open the floodgates, there's no mystique anymore. And you waited too long to let people come on from Android.
Mhm. Okay, going to run another poll for people here. So, how carefully do you read or watch before reacting? 1, I go deep before I react. 2, I skim then react. Or 3, I often react quickly. So, when you are consuming a media piece for the first time, whether it's video, audio, or read, 1, do you go deep before react? 2, you skim then react. Or 3, I often react quickly. That's a real-time poll we have going. I'd be very interested to see what people have to say. But yeah, Google Hangout, it was okay. I think Google, if they really did it properly, they could have owned that space.
Right, because they were really the first in there doing it commercially. But
Yes.
the quality was awful.
Yes. Yeah. The streaming quality was terrible. It was terrible, but they were the first out, but they didn't go any further with it, and they just went, and again, it provided opportunity for other, say, smaller and independent platforms to snatch that, because Google now, they just have the free thing you can do, but they don't, it's not necessarily a broadcast live stream piece.
Right. It is like what is like a Zoom call.
Like a Zoom. This is how true. Let's see how. Okay, C Nurse K says 1, unless it's ridiculous. 3, okay, well, vote properly. You have a choice of 1, 2, or 3. Put 1, 2, or 3, then enter. I love your commentary there, but the poll's there for a reason. So choose one. All right, let's see if we got, okay, there we go. Thank you so much. Let me just see if there's anything else I want to put out there. Media break. So we got that. Okay. Oh, what are some stereotypes or patterns in media that you wish more viewers would question out loud when they see them?
Stereotypes or what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just want to give you it again. What stereotypes? Let me guess. I have my question here. Just give me a second.
Sure.
Oh, what are some stereotypes or patterns in media that you wish more viewers would question out loud when they see them?
So, are we talking about stereotypes that the media portrays, or stereotypes that we have about the media that we want to
The
question?
media portrays.
That media portrays. I mean, there are so many. If we look at, often, here's part of the problem when you only have one sector of individuals producing content.
Which is the
It
danger of what's
uses
happening slowly but surely now.
exactly. It uses their lens, and you're not exposed to other things, be it the truth or other truths. So I really want people, that's the whole thing. Question the media, or question media outlets. So also, here's the other thing. You notice I corrected myself from saying the media to media outlets. I don't like the whole concept of the media, because what happens is they've done what they did to the word woke, which is stupid because they don't understand what it means. They lump every type of behavior into one thing that they call woke. So, meaning they've stolen, as usual, what that means and use it for their own game without really understanding. So, what has happened with the media is that they've lumped everybody together and everything together. So, I wish people would stop saying the media and talk and say just media or media outlets, because the media indicates that it's this ominous, harmful thing, which it can be, and in many cases is, but it doesn't have to be. So I hate that whole thing where people say, yeah, the media, who, which outlet specifically, and they can't say. So you cannot put a blanket assumption on all media. Specify what you mean.
All right, we're going to start winding down with a few last conversation pieces.
Yeah.
I think it's covered here. Food Plane says, what are the first habits someone should build if they want to become more media literate? I think we've covered that today.
Yeah.
Okay. Food Plane also asks, Dr. Vibe, have you heard from producer Matt? How is he? He is fine. I spoke to him a few weeks ago. He actually shared with me his resume. So if I'm looking to see if there's any opportunities for him. And then Food Plane also asks, if you could go back in the 80s and you could bring only one piece of modern technology, what would that be? Woo, that's a good question. Wow. I don't even know. That's going way. That's, oh boy, that's 40 years ago, man. That's a long time.
And this is an interesting question because technology builds on itself. So we make improvements to former technology so that it's more efficient, that it's more affordable, etc. I know that there's this move now going back to physical media like DVDs. And in fact, there's an article that I pulled up. There's a new company that's doing what Netflix used to do with DVDs, that will mail you DVDs. I just saw that like yesterday. So we're going back to physical media. I love the idea of vinyl that's coming back.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's amazing for the sound, for the nostalgia. But here's what I don't like. I still have all my CDs because I worked in radio. So I have an awful lot of, and I just love music. But ask me, do I have a CD player? I don't.
I have my vinyl.
See, a vinyl is so cool. I have a couple of vinyl pieces, but I don't have a record player either.
I have record players. My dad vinyl. I went to a store the other day that's not too far from me. There is so much vinyl. This guy's a collector. He's a world-renowned vinyl collector, and people come from all around the world to buy vinyl that's in his store. It is he's become a millionaire because of it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I
Yeah.
love going to a good record store and
Oh,
going
you
through the
love it.
stacks and
When not
seeing
if,
what's
it's not
there.
if, when you come to Toronto, I will take you to this place. You'll want to spend an afternoon there easily. Between my dad's house, my dad's man cave, and this gentleman, you'll spend forever. You'll spend that's a day, maybe 2 days right there. Right there.
I love that. So in terms of technology that's coming back, but here's the thing, I also don't like a lot of stuff. I don't like a lot of stuff around. I'm not necessarily a minimalist, but I don't like a whole bunch of stuff. So to get me to buy, there's only the only CD that I have purchased recently is Brian Culbertson.
Oh, I know
He
that artist.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know that
I
artist
went
big
to
time.
his concert last year. He's amazing. He goes live every Friday on YouTube
You're
and
kidding.
plays. Yes, he goes live every Friday. So if you're part of the crew or whatever, you could just go to the Brian Culbertson YouTube page and he
Okay,
goes
I would
live.
love
He
to do
talks
that.
with us. I'll forward it to you the next time he's
Please
live. I think this
do.
Friday he's live.
And you know what? Actually, so Frequency Event Promotions goes back to basics, and then here goes Frequency says Toronto. Dr. Tachi's no, she's not coming here next week. It would only be in the summertime. So just hold your horses, please, and thank you. But
You people are still at too low of a temperature for me.
but you know who I've missed in Niagara Falls in the last 2 months? One was Will Downing opening up for Jeffrey Osborne.
Oh,
Played at so Niagara Falls has a Niagara Falls casino. A lot of
yeah.
artists are not coming way to Toronto. They're just coming to the Niagara Falls casino. They're not coming fully to Toronto. And then a few weeks ago, Stanley Clark came.
Oh, wow.
Now I saw Stanley Clark many years ago, and so I said, okay, I saw him in his, but I would have said, geez, but yeah, Stanley Clark came to Niagara Falls, and I just went, eh. But I said, hey, I just value doing primetime Saturday more, so that's where I was.
Yeah, no, I understand. And then, to drive to Niagara
Yeah,
Falls.
the drive and all, but it was funny because Will Downing. If people you want to hear a beautiful male vocalist, go listen to some Will Downing. And it was funny because it was like 10:45 at night, and someone texted me and going, okay, what's up? And it's someone who I had heard from a long time, and say, Dr. Vibe, I want to thank you for introducing me to Will Downing. I go, okay, thank you. Because why are you telling me that now? Oh, I just finished watching him in concert. He opened up for Jeffrey Osborne. And she said the concert was amazing. Amazing.
Wow.
Jeffrey Osborne, 76 years old, still can throw it down.
And 76 is not old.
No,
So,
and the thing is,
wow.
yeah, and so was at a casino, and this person's sister, because they go to the casino a lot, they got comps to go to the concert. I said, if you would have told me you had comps, I would have done that drive. I would have done
Yeah,
that
for
drive
free. Absolutely.
comps. And I think it also included staying overnight there. So you could have went to the concert, stayed overnight, drove home the next morning. All right.
Wow. Yeah.
So Lala says music is the source of joy and peace. I advise everyone to blow the dust off their records. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. And for those who don't know, Lala and her husband are incredible musicians and vocalists. So
Mhm.
definitely, if you ever get a chance to hear Lala sing, it is I think she sings at church every Sunday. I think you tell me that, right, Lala? Is that true? Is that true? Well, I think Dr. Tachi, it's as you would say, exit stage left time coming up.
Yes, yes, yes. This was
Okay,
fantastic.
the results on our final poll of the day. How carefully do you read or watch before reacting? 75% said I go deep before I react. 2% say I skim then react. And I am loving this poll feature. Thank you, people, for using it. Engagement. Thank you so much. I think it's a really good feature. I've done it in the past, but it didn't work out the best. This is working out much better. Much, much better. So I'm very happy about that. So let's take the post down. All right, we go here. We go here. So we got a few last comments before we exit. So, oh, Laura says, yes, I do. We are on YouTube. So put
Oh,
yes. You know what? Let me just do it right now because I gotta support Lala and Will. Let me just see if I can pull up their site. Oh, okay. Okay, Lala, tell me which, because I see Will's site here. Which site do you want me to put in the comments? So you tell me. Oh, I think she's talking about singing at church. Okay. And Laura says, and this week we went tambourine old school, so be ready to pray. So that's church. All right. Good
wow.
stuff. And Frequency of Air Promotion says, it amazes me no matter how innovative the future is, we now talking about DVDs and vinyl records. Maybe Blockbuster will return.
I think that's a wrap.
Yes, that's a way of wrapping this conversation. Frequency of Air Promotion goes, have a great weekend, everyone and all. Well, everyone does. We'll be back here in there's 12, about 17 hours, wherever you're watching, most places. And Lala goes, Acts of Church, Santa Monica, Acts. All right. Very nice. What do you have coming up, Dr. Tachi? Anything we need to be on the horizon with?
Yeah, somebody talked about classes. Look out for classes on the horizon, trainings
Yes.
on the horizon. I have
Yes.
that. I actually have it. It's just me getting everything together to do it. I actually have an ebook on camera lighting and sound that would for getting started and what to do, which would be great for folks. I just have to release it. So stay tuned for that. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to shout out a bunch of people today who liked on Facebook, Raven Blair Glover,
Hey, Raven.
and then two people from my journey, Leslie Yaffa. Great to see Leslie, and Ray McMillan, as always. You liked it. And then also Fraser Ramsey and Thaddeus Jones Jr. If you want
Yay.
to get a hold of Dr. Tachi, this is where you do it. This is the link. This is the link. Also, just some final things. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And I know what's been going on, but there's a lot of people doing the subscription lately. So thank you very much. And again, if you subscribe, don't just subscribe. Subscribe and either watch live or on replay or engage via comments, please and thank you. Because if you just subscribe for content creators, if people just subscribe and they do nothing, it does nothing for you, really and truly. It's just a number, and the algorithm goes crazy when people engage and watch based on your subscription. Like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Substack. Join our Discord group. The information is there in all the comment sections on my end. To advertise your business, product, or service, email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Now it's the PSA done by Dr. Tachi about Indie Soup TV. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Okay, well, I am the founder of Indie Soup Media, which is an independent network for independent content creators. We are still on hiatus. We're not coming back until June. So during the summer season, we'll be back with some new creators and fresh new content for you. You can find us at Indie Soup Media on we're on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Instagram. And then you can watch us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch starting in June. But guess what? You can go back and watch all the fantastic content we have now on demand. There are 30 shows for you to choose from.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
A cornucopia of shows, not just there's so much content. And I'm glad to be part of it. Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Yes.
Yes.
And hopefully continue on. Okay, so okay, Lala says, yes, we're on YouTube. Is it under Will's address or yours? There we go. Lala says, then it's a great time to go back and binge watch. Very nice. There you go.
Perfect. catch yourself up with everything, get familiar with all the creators so that when we come back in June, you have
Fire,
a background. Yeah.
fire. You can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. White Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Afro Caribbean Business Network on YouTube, and Ryan O'Neal Knight on YouTube. Dr. Tachi, thank you again.
Thank
You do
you.
it so fine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to next month.
And well, I think you're looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow, but this next month.
Tomorrow too. Tomorrow
Yes.
too. All right. As always, want to end it off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. But try to do both and make it better. And last comment, Lala says, love seeing you, Dr. Tachi.
Yes, you too. Thank you for being here, and
we'll
I'll
be
see you
together
tomorrow.
tomorrow, ladies. Tomorrow, ladies are going to be together. Excuse me. So if you want fire, if you're ready for fire and truth, click tomorrow, 5 p.m., about 5 to 6:30 Eastern time. God bless. Peace to you all. Keep the faith. Walk good. Bye.